On August 23, 2025, the world awoke to a revelation that would reshape the narrative of American diplomacy under President Donald J. Trump's second administration. It was a sweltering summer morning in Washington, D.C., the kind where the Potomac River seemed to shimmer with unspoken secrets, and the air carried the faint hum of anticipation. Ambassador Monica Crowley, freshly appointed as the 35th Chief of Protocol of the United States, stepped into the spotlight of the State Department's Grand Auditorium. At 56 years old, Crowley was no stranger to the corridors of power. Her career had spanned journalism, conservative commentary, and high-stakes political advising. But on this day, she was not merely an observer or an advisor, she was the unmasker of truths long buried beneath layers of official secrecy. The auditorium, with its polished marble floors and towering columns adorned with the seals of nations past, was filled to capacity. Diplomats from allied countries, journalists from every major outlet, and a smattering of Trump's inner circle sat in rapt attention. Secret Service agents lined the walls, their eyes scanning for any hint of disruption. Crowley, dressed in a crisp navy suit that echoed the formality of her new role, approached the podium. Her voice, steady and resonant, cut through the murmurs like a diplomat's well-honed blade. Today, she began, I reveal the hidden machinery behind President Donald J. Trump's most important diplomatic moments. These are not mere anecdotes, they are the gears that turned the wheel of history. What followed was a meticulously crafted narration, delivered without notes, drawing from classified documents, personal recollections, and declassified cables that Crowley had spent months compiling. She promised transparency in an era of shadows, and as the hours unfolded, her words painted a vivid tapestry of intrigue, strategy, and sheer audacity. The revelation was not a single bombshell but a series of interconnected stories, each illuminating a pivotal diplomatic encounter from Trump's tenure. From the neon-lit casinos of North Korea to the gilded halls of the Vatican, Crowley dissected the behind-the-scenes machinations that had eluded public scrutiny for years. Let us begin with the historic summit in Singapore on June 12, 2018, between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The world watched as the two leaders shook hands on a balcony overlooking the city-state's skyline, a moment symbolizing a potential thaw in decades of hostility. But Crowley revealed that this iconic image was the culmination of a clandestine operation codenamed Dragon's Whisper. Months before the summit, Trump's team had deployed a network of undercover negotiators, disguised as tourists and business executives, who infiltrated Pyongyang's shadowy elite circles. These operatives, drawn from the CIA's Special Activities Division, carried briefcases rigged with hidden recording devices and encrypted communication tools. One such agent, a former Wall Street trader named Elias Thorne, posed as a potential investor in North Korean mining ventures. Through late-night meetings in dimly lit karaoke bars, Thorne cultivated relationships with Kim's inner advisors, subtly planting seeds of doubt about the regime's isolationist policies. Crowley described how Thorne's efforts fed into a larger psychological operation. Trump himself, from the Oval Office, authorized the release of targeted propaganda via social media bots that flooded North Korean defectors, networks with visions of American prosperity. The president knew that diplomacy isn't just handshakes, Crowley narrated. It's about breaking the enemy's will before they even sit at the table. Behind the scenes, the State Department's protocol team, Crowley's predecessors, had orchestrated a logistical marvel. The summit venue, the Capella Hotel, was swept for bugs by a joint U.S.-Singapore task force, and even the floral arrangements were chosen for their symbolic neutrality, orchids representing resilience, not dominance. Yet, the true hidden machinery lay in the pre-summit, ghost dinners. These were secret meals hosted by U.S. envoys in neutral territories like Hanoi, where Kim's representatives were wined and dined with American steaks and California wines, all while being subtly recorded to gauge their true intentions. Trump reviewed these tapes personally, adjusting his approach like a master chess player. The Singapore summit, Crowley concluded, was not a gamble but a calculated triumph, forged in the fires of invisible labor. Transitioning seamlessly, Crowley turned to the Abraham Accords, the groundbreaking series of normalization agreements between Israel and several Arab nations in 2020. Signed amid the COVID-19 pandemic, these pacts were hailed as Trump's Middle East masterstroke, but the ambassador unveiled the intricate web of back-channel diplomacy that made them possible. Operation Desert Mirage, involved a cadre of Mossad CIA liaisons operating out of Dubai's Burj Al Arab, where luxury suites doubled as war rooms. Crowley recounted how Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law and point man on the Accords, had relied on a forgotten asset, a network of Bedouin traders who traversed the deserts unchecked by borders. These nomads, equipped with satellite phones disguised as prayer beads, shuttled encrypted messages between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and UAE Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed. The hidden machinery here was as much technological as it was human. Trump's administration had deployed AI-driven analytics to predict reactions from key players, crunching data from social media sentiment and satellite imagery of troop movements. One pivotal moment, Crowley revealed, occurred during a sandstorm in the Negev desert in late 2019. A secret convoy of U.S. armored vehicles met with Emirati emissaries under the cover of the raging winds. There, amid swirling dunes, preliminary drafts of the Accords were exchanged, not on paper, but etched into tamper-proof digital tablets. Protocol experts ensured that every cultural nuance was respected. Dates were served in silver bowls to honor Arab hospitality, while Hebrew blessings were whispered to appease Israeli sensitivities. Trump, ever the showman, had insisted on a personal touch. He recorded video messages for the Arab leaders, praising their courageous vision, in a tone that blended flattery with firmness. These videos, smuggled via diplomatic pouches, eroded resistance. By the time the Accords were publicly announced from the White House Rose Garden, the groundwork had been laid through months of nocturnal negotiations, where the only witnesses were the stars above the Arabian Peninsula. As the afternoon sun filtered through the auditorium's windows, Crowley delved into the G20 summit in Buenos Aires on November 30, 2018, a gathering marred by trade tensions but secretly pivotal for U.S.-China relations. The public narrative focused on Trump's tense dinner with Chinese President Xi Jinping, where tariffs were discussed over steak and chocolate cake. But Crowley exposed the underbelly. Project Silk Shadow, a covert intelligence initiative that traced its roots to Trump's first days in office. U.S. cyber operatives, working from a black site in Hawaii, had hacked into Chinese supply chain networks, uncovering vulnerabilities in Beijing's economic armor. This intelligence was funneled to Trump's trade team, allowing him to enter the dinner with leverage that Xi could scarcely imagine. The chief of Protocol narrated how protocol itself became a weapon. The dinner's seating chart was a masterpiece of psychological positioning. Trump placed beside Xi, with interpreters positioned to capture every micro-expression via hidden cameras embedded in the chandelier. Crowley, drawing from declassified logs, described the pre-dinner rituals. U.S. chefs flown in to prepare dishes that subtly evoked American abundance, like lobster thermidor symbolizing unbreakable resolve. Behind the scenes, a team of behavioral analysts monitored Xi's body language in real time, feeding insights to Trump via a discreet earpiece. The president turned protocol into a symphony, Crowley said, where every note was calibrated to disarm. The hidden machinery extended to post-dinner maneuvers. As leaders retired, U.S. diplomats hosted informal after-parties in Buenos Aires nightclubs, where loosened tongues revealed China's bottom lines. This intelligence shaped the Phase 1 trade deal signed months later, a victory born not in boardrooms but in the shadows of global gatherings. Crowley's revelation gained even greater depth as she shifted to the NATO summit in Brussels on July 11, 2018, where Trump's blunt demands for increased defense spending rattled allies. The world saw a fractious alliance, but the ambassador unveiled the subtle engineering of unity. Codenamed Atlantic Forge, this operation involved embedding U.S. protocol officers within European delegations months in advance. These officers, fluent in multiple languages and versed in cultural psyops, sowed seeds of compliance during routine embassy visits. One key figure was Ambassador Elena Vázquez, who posed as a cultural attaché in Berlin. Through tea sessions with German officials, Vázquez subtly highlighted the economic benefits of NATO burden sharing, using data visualizations disguised as casual infographics. The hidden machinery hummed with innovation. Drone surveillance over Brussels captured ally movements, while AI algorithms predicted pushback from skeptical nations like France. Trump's team orchestrated a pre-summit, Ghost Summit, in a remote Icelandic lodge, where select NATO ministers were invited under the guise of environmental talks. There, amid geothermal springs, informal pledges were extracted over whiskey and saunas. Protocol ensured harmony, Flags were arranged in alphabetical order to avoid favoritism, and menus avoided pork to respect Muslim allies. Crowley recounted a tense moment when Trump, via secure video link, interjected during a sidebar meeting, his voice booming through speakers hidden in conference tables. This personal intervention, she said, galvanized commitments that boosted NATO spending by billions. The Brussels summit, far from a mere scolding, was a masterclass in coercive diplomacy, its gears oiled by invisible hands. Venturing further into Trump's diplomatic playbook, Crowley illuminated the Vatican meeting on May 24, 2017, between the President and Pope Francis. Publicly, it was a clash of styles, Trump's brashness against the pontiff's humility, but behind the scenes, Operation Holy Veil wove a tapestry of mutual respect. U.S. protocol experts had pored over Vatican archives, identifying symbolic gestures that could bridge divides. Trump's gift of a signed copy of The Art of the Deal was no whim. It was selected after consultations with Jesuit scholars to underscore themes of negotiation as divine providence. The hidden machinery involved a network of interfaith mediators operating from Rome's underbelly. These included ex-CIA analysts turned papal advisors, who facilitated secret audiences in the apostolic palace's hidden chapels. Crowley described how Trump's motorcade route was altered at the last minute to avoid paparazzi, allowing for a private pre-meeting in the gardens, where discussions on immigration and climate touched on shared values. Audio logs, declassified for her presentation, captured Trump's unfiltered candor. "Holy Father, let's make a deal for peace." Protocol intricacies abounded. The Pope's white cassock was mirrored in the delegation's attire choices, and incense burners were calibrated to evoke serenity. This encounter, Crowley narrated, laid groundwork for quiet U.S.-Vatican collaborations on global humanitarian efforts, proving that even ideological foes could be maneuvered through the art of subtle protocol. As the narration progressed into the evening, Crowley tackled the U.S.-Mexico border negotiations culminating in the USMCA trade agreement in 2019. The public face was Trump's tariff threats and wall rhetoric, but the ambassador revealed the labyrinthine, border labyrinth, initiative. Mexican cartels, unwittingly, played a role. U.S. agents embedded in border towns used narco-intelligence to pressure Mexico City. Secret flights from Andrews Air Force Base carried negotiators to undisclosed ranches in Chihuahua, where deals were struck over tequila and tamales. Protocol here was a tightrope. Cultural envoys ensured that Mexican flags flew higher during joint sessions, symbolizing equality. Crowley detailed a clandestine summit in Tijuana's tunnels. Yes, the very smuggling routes, where Trump's team met counterparts under dim LED lights. AI facial recognition monitored for double crosses, and the agreement's fine print was hammered out in real time via neural network translations. Trump's personal calls to President Enrique Peña Nieto, laced with folksy charm, sealed the pact. The USMCA, born of dust and determination, showcased how hidden machinery could transmute confrontation into cooperation. Crowley's discourse then wove through the India-Pakistan tensions mitigated during Trump's 2019 visit to New Delhi. The public spectacle of the Howdy Modi rally masked Operation Monsoon Shield, where U.S. satellites tracked military mobilizations. Backchannel envoys, disguised as Bollywood producers, shuttled between Islamabad and Mumbai, using film sets as neutral grounds. Protocol finesse included arranging vegetarian feasts to honor Hindu sensitivities, while Trump's tweets were timed to de-escalate via viral diplomacy. One riveting anecdote involved a midnight hot air balloon meeting over the Thar Desert, where Indian and Pakistani generals received U.S.-brokered ceasefire terms. Crowley narrated how Trump, from Mar-a-Lago, reviewed drone footage, his instincts guiding the final push. This intervention averted war, its machinery a blend of tech and tenacity. Expanding on European entanglements, Crowley revisited the 2017 G7 summit in Taormina, Sicily, where Trump's withdrawal from the Paris Climate Accord stunned allies. Behind the discord lay Mediterranean Mirror, a psyop using Sicilian vineyards for covert talks. U.S. wine experts doubled as spies, extracting concessions on trade while Protocol masked tensions with lavish banquets. Trump's table manners, deliberately robust, signaled unyielding resolve, captured by hidden mics for post-analysis. The narration deepened with the 2020 Camp David talks on Middle East peace, post-Abraham Accords. Eagle's Nest, involved Native American mediators for symbolic neutrality, and virtual reality simulations for scenario planning. Trump's golf course at the site became a negotiation hub, where putts paralleled progress. Crowley revealed how AI predicted outcomes, ensuring the accord's expansion. As night fell over the auditorium, Crowley culminated with the 2025 Ukraine-Russia détente, a fresh triumph under Trump's return. Polar Vortex utilized Arctic outposts for secret meets with Protocol. Adapting to sub-zero conditions, fur-lined briefcases and heated inks. Trump's direct line to Putin, via submarine cables, forged the path, averting escalation. In closing, Crowley reflected on the machinery's essence, a fusion of intellect, innovation, and Trump's indomitable will. Her revelation, spanning hours and unveiling layers of diplomacy's hidden world, left the audience in awe. On that August 23, 2025, the veil lifted, and the true architects of peace stood revealed, not in glory, but in the quiet grind of shadows.